We're looking at what I believe is one of the most incredible wilderness areas in southern Nevada. This is the southern edge of Blue Diamond Hill. Now, people are familiar with Blue Diamond Hill, the northern end, where the cowboy horseback riding operation exists, but very few people are aware of this southern area. Now, in the northern area, Cowboy Canyon, it's a pretty amazing canyon. Tall, majestic, limestone walls towering over the canyon, caves in the canyon. Well, here on the southern part of Blue Diamond Hill, there are 7 canyons that could rival Cowboy Canyon in size and majesty. We're going to see how many of those canyons that we can explore today. So anyway, here we are. Where are we? We're at the Wheeler Spring Camp parking area. Great little parking area just north of the town of Blue Diamond on Highway 159, only about 30 minutes outside of Las Vegas. A lot of possibilities for hiking in the Rainbow Mountains area, at the base of the southern Rainbow Mountains here. But today, let's head over to Blue Diamond Hill and explore those incredible canyons. Our first challenge is getting to the southern area of Blue Diamond Hill. Why is it a challenge? Because there is a long barbed wire fence that skirts most of Highway 159. It's an animal protection barrier so animals don't stray onto Highway 159 here. But there are only a few openings. And one opening is right here across from Wheeler Spring Camp parking area. This is the Blue Diamond Gypsum mining road. And so here you can cross that barbed wire barrier and then head over to the southern area of Blue Diamond Hill. I want to give you an idea just how fast these canyons go from just a mild wash with 2-foot high walls down at Highway 159 to majestic, towering limestone wall canyons. Okay, here we are, and take a look at that. That's less than 100 yards. And the walls are soon about 200 to 250 feet high. So this is the first canyon we're going to explore. There are some barriers in these canyons that we'll experience, and so we're going to see where the barriers are, how to navigate them, and how many canyons we can traverse. There are no trails in this area. It's pure wilderness. And it's going to slow you down by about 50% as opposed to if you were hiking on trails. But look at this area. This is like a desert garden. As you're roaring past this area on Highway 159, it looks just like a barren brown hill, like the hills in the background. But boy, you get here, start walking around, and you're in a southwestern desert garden. It is the third week in April. The heat is starting to rise, and probably within a couple weeks, maybe a month, it'll be very difficult to hike in this area because the temperatures will begin to rise up to and above 100 degrees. So this is really an area to be during the mid fall to mid spring, maybe early summer, but I'd say mid spring is a good cutoff. Okay, let's continue wandering through this botanical wonderland here, and let's find that first canyon and see if we can find a descent point. Okay, here we are at the edge of canyon number one, the first canyon we're going to ascend, and this is the first canyon south of the Blue Diamond Gypsum Mine Road. See how shallow this is, and we're only about 50 yards above Highway 159, where there are basically no walls. And look at how the walls rise. It's about 25 feet at this point. And by the time you reach this area up here, we're looking at, oh, it's got to be 200 feet high walls. Amazing what erosion will do. So what we're going to do is, this is a good spot to descend, and probably the last spot that it'd be possible to descend into this wash. So we're going to descend into the canyon wash and then head up you see there are two branches here. There's one that splits off to the right, one that splits off to the left, and we're going to head up the left branch all the way to the edge of the Blue Diamond Gypsum mining operation. That's private property up there. It's public property, wilderness down here. Anyway, we're going to head up to that point, that boundary, and then circle around and find the entrance of this right branch and descend the right branch, come back down this area, provided that we don't have any intervening obstacles. And as we go, as we're looking at these towering walls, we're also going to be looking for cave openings. Limestone is very porous, and there are many openings in the walls. A lot of them are high enough in the walls that you can't get to them without specialized rock climbing equipment and experience, but maybe there are a few that we can explore. So here we go. Here we are in the canyon wash. Watch these walls go from 25 feet to nearly 200 feet within the space of probably distance of maybe 25 yards from here. Pretty amazing. Now, looking down on these canyon washes from the ridges above, I've got another adventure page on the ridges above these canyons. Looking down from above, it seemed like, wow, this would be an easy traverse. It seemed very level, but usually when you get down into a canyon, it becomes more complicated than it looked from above. And here we are now approaching the taller canyon section. Give you a look around real quick here. Okay, onward. Okay, here we are at that divide. You can see the right branch with the towering limestone walls going in this direction. And then here's the dividing point. Left branch this direction. And I'd encourage you to do the ridge lines first and look down into these canyons. I've got a page on Las Vegas Area Trails devoted to the ridge lines above. The ridge lines are very gentle. They all descend down to Highway 159, and so you can ascend and descend every one of the ridge lines between these canyons very easily. And look down in the canyons just so you get an idea what the layout of the canyons is, and then begin to tackle the canyons as we're doing today. So let's head up this left branch and see where we end up. By the way, as I mentioned, there are 7 major canyons in this southern Blue Diamond Hill area, and there are 2 north of the Miners Road, and there are 5 south of the Miners Road, and then all the canyons have a few lesser tributary canyons. You can see the whole outlay on the map on the linked page on LasVegasAreaTrails.com, and I'd encourage you to look at that map and just to be aware of the layout of these canyons. It's hard to get lost in this area because all you have to do is either descend the canyon again, it'll end up at Highway 159, or if you can get all the way up to the summit, then just take one of the ridges down to Highway 159. So that ease makes it really fun to explore. It's like you're in a distant wilderness area, but you're really very close to Highway 159 the whole time, even though it seems like you're in another world. Look at this. We're less than, about 100 yards from Highway 159. And look where we are. Okay, continuing to ascend, but look around. Here's one of the minor branching canyons, and it looks like you could take that up to the upper ridge lines if you wanted. We're going to continue up the main branch here. But look at that cactus garden on the hillside above. I believe those might be California barrel cacti. Okay, let's continue up the main branch. Okay, continuing up the canyon, but I thought I'd descend to this high point just for a moment. We're actually on the left side there and continuing up the main canyon, but I just wanted to look around. And here's another amazing cactus garden. And then you can see another branch off the canyon right there. And then looking down the canyon. Okay, let's descend again into the main wash to our left and continue upward. Well, there's a little cave opening with an emphasis on the word little. Let's see if we can nail that. And looking down the canyon. And then up the canyon on a little high point here. Need to descend again into the canyon to our left. Okay, we're up at the Miners Road. And I'm looking ahead. Wow, we have circled around. There is what I believe is Indecision Peak. Could be wrong. I can't see enough of it. But that's my best guess. Let's get a 360. And then what I'm going to do is head up to the right here. See where we are. Cactus Garden just continues to amaze. Okay, let's head up to this high point. See if we can navigate over to a canyon that we can descend. Well, there's the mining road. And now you can see the Rainbow Mountains appearing above, and there's Rainbow Mountain, then Mount Wilson, and then yes, that was Indecision Peak, Sandstone Peak, Monument Peak, Hidden Peak behind, Black Velvet Peak, Windy Peak, Hollow Rock Peak, South Peak, and then Potosi Mountain. And even Bridge Mountain. So you can see, really see from this point, you can see most of the Rainbow Mountain range here. And Miners Road. Let's get a look down the canyon. that we just descended. Beautiful canyon. And let's continue upward and find another canyon to descend. What do you know? Here's a little phantom road. I call it a phantom road because these roads can appear and disappear. But there it is, leading down to the mining road. And then you can see a more expansive view of the Rainbow Mountains. By the way, this over here is that Western High Ridge that in the foreground that we were on a little earlier. I've got an adventure on that ridge. Goes all the way up to the entrance of the cowboy horseback riding operation. And that's an adventure in itself. There is Bonnie Springs. If you wondered what has been happening with Bonnie Springs, well, there you have it. Was an amusement park. Then that was leveled and becoming residential housing. Oh, and there is our starting point down in this area. Wheeler Spring Camp parking area on Highway 159. There's looking down the canyon. We just descended, and there's the town of Blue Diamond. So let's continue up this ridge and see if we can circle around to another canyon opening to descend. Okay, there's the Miners Road. And what I see here in the limestone walls is a pretty significant little cave opening. Let's see if we can nail the location of that opening. There we are. So let's descend into that canyon and explore around through that canyon down there. As you can see, we summited a canyon. Probably we should have taken one of those right branches. That last branch to the right was the deeper branch, but we discover along the way. Okay, now we're down in the canyon at the base of that cave. Let's get another look at that cave. I don't think I can get to it simply because it's a good way up the side of the hill here. There you have it. And let's take a little detour down this canyon toward the base of that cliff where the cave is. To just give you an idea where we are. Definitely some nice cave openings right up here. Couple openings. A little challenging to get to those openings, as there's a, looks like a 10-foot vertical wall above the one on the left, or below the one on the left, and more vertical area above. But the one on the right looks like it could be possible to go in there, get to that opening and explore. Not going to do that today. Caving is not one of my fortes, but I love to explore and find where they are. So yeah, potentially some significant caves there. We're looking around. We may reascend this wash, little detour, or maybe I'll see if there's an opening, the base of the caves, another branch. Yeah, if you want to explore a cave, there it is. Looks like it could be a nice, significant cave opening, and possible to reach that opening. But just don't mar it up with graffiti or knockoff stalactites and stalagmites. Leave it pristine, as opposed to what's happened to the Cowboy Canyon caves. Looking down canyon. We'll go a little further down this branch of the canyon. This is the main branch that I should have taken. And then we'll turn around and come back up to the summit of the canyon. Had I taken that last right branch before I hit the Miners Road on the original canyon, I would have ended up in this cool little canyon. Let's retrace our way up to that cave we looked at a moment ago, and then beyond. Little pour over at this point, just at the beginning of that branch that I did not take, but looks like there's a pretty easy bypass on this side. Okay, rather than navigating that, I'm heading back up, find another canyon. Let's take a quick look back as we continue to ascend. There you see the Rainbow Mountains and Potosi Mountain on the left. And looking down the canyon, we've been ascending. No more caves so far. Walls decreasing in height as we continue upward. But the desert landscape continues to amaze. This, the first major canyon south of the Miners Road. Well, here's our first barrier of any significance, and it looks like it'd be fairly easy to climb. I think what I'm going to do though is bypass it on the right. There's also a bypass just a little below on the left, right down here. But we'll take the right bypass since it's closer to this pour over. Go right up this little hill. Well, here we are at the top of the barrier. That bypass was very painless. There we are looking down canyon. I just ascended this little green hill, and then there's a nice little ledge here. Leads right over to the next level. This canyon is becoming much more shallow, and the Miners Road is immediately above. So we'll continue up more toward the summit of the canyon, and then take a right and find another canyon to descend. But this canyon number one, very interesting. Two caves about midway up. And it's the canyon that skirts the edge, the south edge of the Miners Road. And there is another canyon on the north edge that may be even deeper. We don't know. But we'll find out. Well, here we are at the summit of canyon number one, south of the mining road, which is right here. And you can see evidence of the mining. I must be skirting the very edge of the miner's property, gypsum mining property. So we're going to head over to this ridge above, look around, begin looking for a canyon to descend. Yeah, no barriers to speak of in this canyon, and only a couple barriers that were significant, and there were bypass routes around each of them. Two caves in this canyon. So, pretty cool canyon. So let's find another huge canyon. Well, if you ever wondered where those huge mining trucks end up, it's right up here. And there's one. Gypsum mining operation. Blue Diamond Hill gypsum mine. And the day I did the ridges, I ended up ascending this hill and then descending to the town of Blue Diamond. So now from this perspective, I know where I am. And that makes this the huge canyon that was to our left as I was ascending the ridge above. So we're going to descend this canyon, see if we can get all the way down to the base of the canyon. And just to look around a little more. Potosi Mountain on the left, Rainbow Mountains. beautiful, wild, southwestern wilderness landscape all over Blue Diamond Hill. It's worth being up here just to be in this landscape. And in about a month, let's say mid-May, maybe even beginning of May, a lot of these cacti are going to be in bloom. In fact, you can see some of the blooms right now. Blooms are forming. There's some strawberry hedgehog. These might be prickly pear, not certain. But yeah, you can see the blooms, or the buds forming. This beautiful, wide open area, very peaceful. Okay, down we go. This canyon is larger, more massive than the last with higher walls. So we'll see if we can get all the way down to the base without encountering any insurmountable barriers. Here we go. Walls rising up around us as we descend. And it looks like this canyon connects with another branch, both together soon. We'll see what that's like. So far, no significant barriers, in fact, no barriers at all. It's been an easy traverse, but we haven't gone very far yet. And you see the walls around us. Not too high, about 8-10 feet. But that's going to change very soon. Well, here's where the two canyons join. Looks like this is the larger one. Look up a little ways. And here's the smaller branch I've been descending. And just a very light rock scramble to get down to the next level. Onward. And for the time being, the surface here a little wider since two canyons have joined together, and more gradual, easier to descend. Another tributary canyon joining the main canyon. And onward and downward. Well, nothing but a few very light 4-foot ledges to scramble down and easy stairways down each so far. But you can see the walls increasing. In fact, I'm hearing an echo here, which I didn't hear in the last canyon. I think this is much more massive and deep than the last canyon. So this would be the second major canyon south of the Miners Road. Just a few very light ledges like this one. And they have nice stairways, so I guess you can't really call them an obstacle. Waiting for the bottom to drop out ahead. Maybe it won't. And look ahead here. There is a little cave opening. Looks like a few right in that area. Oh, there's a bigger one. Yeah, as the walls rise around us, that's where we're going to find cave openings. Those scrambles are increasing in size just a little bit. Still nothing to really worry about. Just came down that one. Continuing downward, you never know when the bottom's going to drop out ahead. You only see around to the next corner. Another scramble, still no problem, but it's probably 10, 15 feet tall. And continuing downward. Wow, look at those walls. Definitely an echo in here. Well, there's a cave opening in the wall above. Still descending this second major canyon south of the Miners Road. More limestone caves above. High walls on either side. But so far the surface has been very doable. Cactus gardens continue non-stop. Look at them up there. And we continue to descend. Well, this crack looks like it could be a major bat hotel. Okay, here's the most major barrier so far. It just seems to spiral downward. So we'll take a look at it. If it's too insurmountable, then we head all the way back up the canyon, come down on the ridge line. Okay, yeah, it looks like there's a ledge and then another drop off below that. If I go down to the first ledge, I'm not 100% certain I can get back up here, and I'm not 100% certain I can get down, which would leave me trapped. So, back up the canyon. Long way, but that's all right. Better than getting trapped. So I'm going to travel up to the top of this canyon and then come down on the ledge above, and it would be the ledge above on this side. Here we go. When I'm descending an unfamiliar canyon or slope, I always ask myself, could I reascend this? And if the answer is maybe or no, I turn around, which is what I've done. Now, this is that first split. I came up, oh, I came down this split to the left. I have not yet been on this split to the right, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get all the way up on this split and then get on the ridge above and descend the ridge. We'll see. If not, then I come around to this point and continue my ascent. So let's go ahead and take the split to the right. Unfamiliar, but I have a fallback of coming back to this spot and taking the other split. Another thing that makes this strategy work is that I always have more water than I need. So that gets me through any backtracking that I need to do. And I time things so that if I have to backtrack, I can do that and still make it back in the light. Now, what I'm looking for is a route up to the ridge above. That's why I took the right split just a moment ago. And it looks like things are leveling off a bit. And if I can go ahead and get up to the ridge above, that'll shorten this little adventure. So let's just see. Bingo. This looks like it'll get me up to the upper ridge where I can begin to descend that upper ridge. And when I get to the base of the ridge at Highway 159, what I might do is come back up this canyon and look at that barrier that turned me around. See if I can get to that barrier from below, because this makes me curious. How much of a barrier was that? And besides, I want to finish this canyon. So up we go to the upper ridge and then down that ridge and back to the base of this canyon. And here we are continuing to ascend to the summit of this ridge. Here's the canyon I just ascended from. And Blue Diamond Hill is actually a fun place to be. In the canyons and on the ridges, as long as you just follow a few principles. And in addition to what I've said just a moment ago, realize that near the the summit of each canyon. The walls level off. You can hit the ridges, and about every single ridge goes down to Highway 159 with a fairly gentle incline. So once you get on the ridges, you can always get back down to Highway 159. And if you're descending unfamiliar territory, just don't descend anything you can't reascend. It was very easy for me to get back up to this point because every time I descended an area, I was asking myself, can I reascend this? And so actually the return trip up the canyon was a lot faster because I was familiar with it and I knew that it would be passable. So let's continue on up to this ridge, and then we should be seeing Highway 159 and descend to 159 just to the south of this canyon. And then what I'm going to do is come back up the canyon. I really want to see that barrier from below, so we'll see if we can do that. Okay, we're on the ridge line, and I want to keep the canyon just to my right and below so that we can make a U-turn at the bottom of this ridge and head back up the canyon and explore that barrier. But this is another part of my strategy when I first encountered this unfamiliar area. The first thing I did, knowing that there are ridges and canyons, is I navigated the ridge lines, looked down on the canyons, just to get some confidence in the ridge lines and know where the canyons were and their basic outlay. And that was really helpful because I know that now that I'm on a ridge line above that canyon, I can descend this ridge and end up at Highway 159, which you can see ahead. Let's take a look at it. And over here, the town of Blue Diamond. It's another important aspect of doing the ridge lines first, is that you become familiar with all the surroundings, reference points all around, and that familiarity makes it possible to end up just about anywhere when you emerge from a canyon and know where you are and how to get back to your starting point. There's the Gypsum mine operation. So basically everything's familiar up here. In fact, here's a little trail. I was wondering where this trail leads. I was wondering that the other day. Maybe I'll take this trail downward for a little ways and just see where it empties out. I don't know. I want to keep this canyon just to my right because I'm going to reascend the canyon once I get to the bottom of this ridge line. Another thing I do is in a new area, I'll just get lost. And by the time I get to where I'm going, by the time I reach any particular goal, Maybe it takes a few more times than if I follow GPS, but by the time I reach that goal, I know the entire area. That's a great feeling. The whole area feels like home. Okay, let's head down this ridge. Okay, here's the canyon I was in just a while ago. I was standing in that spot, navigating that nice wide wash, and then came face to face with the spiral funnel barrier. So, continuing down the ridge, we'll find the mouth of that canyon. Yes, this is definitely the ridge line that I ascended when I was exploring the ridge lines of southern Blue Diamond Hill the other day. And that means this canyon below that I was just in was the canyon I was looking down upon, wondering what it would be like down in that canyon. So at least we know where we are. Let's continue to descend. Well, there's definitely a little trail on this ridge. We saw it the other day, and I was wondering where it goes. And I keep fluctuating between being on this trail to find out where it lands and being over a little further in that direction so I can keep my eye on that canyon and reascend. I'm going to take this trail for just a little ways. It's a horse trail based on that there's a pretty good indent where the ground's been beaten up by hooves, and also it doesn't look like it's been used for a long time. So, old horse trail. I keep my eye on that canyon over there, but at the same time, let's just explore a little more where this little trail goes. And the little trail winds around, and I believe heads down toward Blue Diamond, which is immediately below. But you know, I want to keep close to that other canyon. So I'm going to cross over and get back on this ridge over here so that I can stay close to the edge of the canyon that I want to ascend to look at that barrier. Here we go. Okay, now I understand where I am and where I've been today. There's the big split that we saw earlier, and we originally headed up the left split, and then at the top we navigated over to this deep canyon, which comes down to the right split. And there it is. This is the canyon I need to ascend. It's basically just that division there. And so I'm going to head down into the canyon wash and take this right split until I come up to that barrier just to see. It's a barrier that stopped me as I was descending the canyon. I just want to see what it looks like from below. Okay, here we are at that Great Divide. There it is. And as I mentioned, we had ascended the left split. Now we're going to head up the right split, see if we can get to that barrier that stopped us on the way down. Here we go. Well, the lower canyon is tame enough, but that's what I was saying about the upper canyon before I hit that barrier. So let's continue on up. By the way, yeah, just looking around. Well, I can say between the tight brush and the boulders and all the thorns, the lower part of this canyon is a little more complicated than the upper part I was in. There are some sort of level spots ahead, but then there are also sections that have a lot of thorns and tight squeezes, and the thorns, if they catch you, do not want to come out. For example, I'm not sure what this little bush is. I call it a Sharpie. It looks innocent enough, but wow, it's got barbs all over. And there's another one over here. And they will just stick in your skin. You will try to pull the thorns out, and a layer of skin wants to come with it. Here's a little shallow animal cave. Looks like someone was living in there recently. And here we have a barrier. I may not get up to that other barrier. This looks pretty steep with smooth rock. So we'll take a look at it, but this may be the upper end of my exploration in this canyon. Okay, yeah, I scooted up that barrier. Not horribly bad. It'll be a slide down. All these lighter rocks are very smooth. Smooth as marble. Okay, and so this puts us continuing upward. Well, I'm glad I persisted past that little marble slide barrier. Things are widening up a little bit, looking nice right at this point. It's the canyon below that little white marble slide that is really complicated with thorns and narrow boulder passages. Anyway, yeah, take a look above. And around. And onward. Okay, continuing up this mean little canyon, the lower part of this canyon is just very, very complicated between the boulders and the brush and the Sharpies that cling. But looking up in the walls, maybe a cave up there. And most certainly, here's a cave. But the problem with this cave is that even if you could scale the wall to get to the mouth of the cave, it might be a challenge to squeeze through the opening. Maybe it opens up further in. Who knows? And I just had a rest on this rock right here and a couple snake-size holes above me that I just discovered. There's one. And there's another. That was a delightful little discovery. Anyway, yeah, let's continue up a little further. I can hear my echo. I'm hoping that we're close to that barrier. I want to see the bottom of that barrier. Well, here's that barrier. There's an upper portion, and I just wasn't sure if I came down that first part that I could get down the second part, but yeah, I could have. It looks very doable. In fact, I'll climb up a little bit, just take a closer look. But I just wasn't sure, so I went all the way around back to this spot. That's probably good I did. Another little opening. And I can definitely say the canyon above this barrier is a much easier traverse than the complicated thorns and brush choked stretch below us. But I think I'm going to head back down. Well, guess what? I ascended that barrier because I just don't want to face that brush choked boulder thorns area below. So I'm going back up the canyon and then take the ridge down. Okay, here we go. The canyon I traversed 3 times. Maybe on the way down this time, once I get up on that upper ridge, we'll try that little trail. See where it ends up, that horse trail. Yeah, becoming very familiar with this branch of the canyon. Pretty cool though. Okay, I'll report back in when I'm heading down that ridge. Ascending the ridge now again. But I've got to say, every time I pass through this upper portion of the canyon, I think I knocked another 15 minutes off my time. I was walking it this last time. Anyway, up to the ridge, and then we'll test out some of those trails we saw up there. Well, here we are on the upper ridge again. And I've decided that if it's between distance and even uphill and complicated, I'm going to choose more distance and even an uphill over the complication of a narrow canyon with thorns, brush, and boulders. So let the races begin. Heading down to Highway 159. Okay, putting it in freeway gear now. I'm taking the path of least resistance down to Highway 159. It turns out there's a little unpaved road, not used anymore, it looks like, but it's doing the trick. And there's a desert garden all around us. Okay, taking this unpaved road down to Highway 159, probably land somewhere near the town of Blue Diamond. Wow, this road is fast. Wild guess that maybe before they had the Gypsum mine road, which is the current road, maybe the workers came up this road and sent the ore down the chute. But now they've got the mining road and the huge trucks haul the ore down. And I'm not sure the chute is even working now. Just a wild guess. I could be way off. Seems logical though. Okay, here's another wild guess. That road led almost directly to the main entrance road for the town of Blue Diamond. So if the road was used by the gypsum workers, maybe Blue Diamond was established to support that gypsum mine. We don't know, but I can see people coming up from the town of Blue Diamond and taking that road up the ridge line to work on the gypsum mine, and then sending the ore down the chute. We don't know, but it seems logical. Okay, now I'm going to angle over to Wheeler Spring Camp parking area, which is only about a quarter mile away from here. And by the way, the whole traverse back down to Highway 159 took just 20 minutes. So it actually was a shorter time to head on up the canyon. The upper part of that canyon was much more wide open, even though I was going uphill to head on up to the upper ridge and then run down that road, as opposed to traversing that really complicated section of canyon, the lower canyon. Believe it or not, here's the shallow beginning of those canyons we were in. There's the divide where it splits to the right and the left. We took the left split up, the right split down. And here we are on Highway 159 near the Gypsum Mine Road. Hard to believe those serene canyons were just less than a mile from this road. Here's Highway 159, and here's the intersection with the Gypsum Mine Road. And across the highway is the Wheeler Camp Spring. And that's the area where we began. What a day. Ascended Blue Diamond Hill 3 times and checked out the canyons just south of the Gypsum Mine Road. Majestic, beautiful canyons. And definitely an area worth exploring.